What is going on, everybody? I am back today to do more of a topical video, and this is a video today that I'm going to be talking to you about some of my favorite directors. I feel like I've never really done this before, but as someone who really loves film and is passionate about film, I watch a lot of movies, and I love a lot of movies, but there are directors that I've become very attached to over my life. Directors who mean a lot to me, whose movies I feel like are, so profoundly impactful that when I visit their catalog, that I just think that their movies provide so much. And obviously, it would be impossible in one video for me to tell you every director that I like. It's absolutely impossible for me to do that. So I'm going to cover some directors today that I think are really incredible and talented, that I think have very consistent filmographies, and that are directors that no matter what they release, I will always go to the theater to watch their movies. And so let's jump into it right now. So first up, I want to get it out of the way, if you can't tell with my Laura Palmer Twin Peaks shirt. My favorite director of all time is David Lynch. David Lynch really changed my life from the moment that I started watching his movies and Twin Peaks. I feel like David is just in tune to human beings and the world in a way that not a lot of people are, where I feel like the level of compassion and empathy and understanding that he has as a human is just bar none the best I've ever seen, and the way that he depicts it in his films is so untraditional. And obviously he is known for being a very surreal, abstract filmmaker that creates content that you have to piece together in your mind a lot of times. But I think a lot of people forget about the very beautiful and human movies that he has made that are less embedded in surrealism. For example, films like The Elephant Man and The Straight Story, which are very beautiful, realistic snapshots of the human existence. But regardless of those films, you look at a film like Fire Walk with Me, which is the story of Laura Palmer from Twin Peaks, and obviously her unfortunate demise, but that is one of the most realistic depiction of abuse, trauma, depression, the way we try to cope with those things, the way we try to survive through those situations. And I think David is just such a beautiful soul in the way that he approaches that material and the way that he showcases it to you. And one of the most important things that David Lynch has taught me as a person through his work and through the books that I've read from him and everything that I've studied is that when he creates something, he has an idea for what he wants the material to be and what he wants it to, convey. But at the end of the day, he is so less concerned with that than what you take away from it. And that the moment that film is edited and handed it to you, what he thinks about it doesn't matter anymore. It's not important. It's all about what you've taken away from it, what you attach onto your life, and the experiences that you've had with those films. And I think that is the most beautiful part of film as a whole, is when you can pull something away from it and that it can stick with you. And I love David's entire filmography. Obviously, his version of Dune didn't go the way that he wanted it to. I feel like that movie is kind of silly, over the top. I still have a lot of fun with it, but aside from Dune, there really is not a film in his filmography that I think is bad. I think every single one is a worthwhile viewing experience. I think some are better than others, but I think he is an incredibly consistent filmmaker that you can always feel the passion in whatever project of his that you're watching. He will be my favorite filmmaker for the rest of my life. I don't really see someone overtaking that spot because of the profound impact that his work has had on my life. I know that not everyone attaches to his films, but I think even if you don't attach to the subject matter of his films, you have to respect the way that he approaches it and the intent that he has. And I just think his filmography is beautiful. I love his movies a lot, and I always look forward to revisiting his movies. Up next is going to be kind of a newer filmmaker that I've developed a love for over the past several years, and that is the filmmaker Celine Sayama. I fell in love with her work after seeing the film Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which I truly think is one of the most beautiful romance films ever made. I truly love every movie that Celine has put out. I've seen every film in her catalog but one, and I think that what Celine does that I appreciate so much is she captures the raw human experience in a way that feels so natural and so non-Hollywood that I appreciate it so much. And the other thing I love about Celine, with the exception of her newest film, Petite Maman, almost every one of Celine's movies is a look at the experience of LGBTQ people, especially in the younger generation, and coming to terms with your sexuality, embracing who you are as a person. Her earliest film, Water Lilies, is about a young girl who has an interest in girls while she's in high school. And the way that she depicts that uncomfortable unease of, coming to terms with who you are, embracing that, the fear of being persecuted because of who you are, is depicted in such a really beautiful and raw and realistic way. And then a film shortly after that she made, Tomboy, about a young person who is struggling with their gender identity and they don't feel like they identify as a girl, and so they dress more masculine, they present themselves more masculine, and when they move into this new place, they are perceived as masculine, and because they like that, they go along with it and they tell the people around them that they are a boy. And I think that the way that that's handled as well is so beautiful and nuanced and delicate, because a lot of people in this society try to excuse kids of having the ability to make those decisions for their lives, but you are the only one who knows your brain. You are the only one who understands who you are as a person. And I think Celine does an amazing job at depicting that in the film Tomboy. Obviously, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, a beautiful period piece about two women falling in love in a period of time that would not be acceptable. Just so well handled, so well shot, some of the greatest cinematography I've ever seen. The minimalist use of the score in the movie is great. And then her newest film, Petite Maman, which feels like a fairy tale, very simplistic, short, simple, sweet, but her whole filmography encapsulates a multitude of emotions. She is so incredibly talented. I look forward to everything that she releases, and I will be following her work for the rest of my life. Up next is going to be a filmmaker and a writer that I love quite a bit, and that is Mr. Charlie Kaufman, who created one of my favorite films ever, Synecdoche, New York. He has only 3 films that he directed, but a multitude of films that he has worked as a screenwriter on. And I love Charlie Kaufman for a lot of the same reasons that I love David Lynch, and that his movies are very surreal and abstract, but there is also a beauty and rawness to the realistic human experience, especially when it comes to depression and anxiety and self-hatred, that I feel like a lot of people can relate to through his 3 directorial films, Synecdoche, New York, Anomalisa, and I'm Thinking of Ending Things. You can really sort of feel those themes resonate in that kind of like outcast, I don't feel like I belong, I struggle with wanting to continue on a day-to-day basis. And I think the way that he approaches it, there's something in each one of his films that I think any type of person could connect to and could really attach themselves to. And his movies are just so beautiful and thought-provoking. The scores to all of his films are absolutely amazing. He always chooses phenomenal actors to perform in his films, and I just think that, to have such a short directorial body of work, but also to have films that you've written, like Adaptation and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and to have so many films in your body of work that are so emotionally impactful and beautiful is just really impressive. And I read Charlie's book, Antkind, earlier this year. I absolutely adored it. I thought that it was so well written, really thoughtful and interesting, and he is just a really unique individual who, unfortunately, his movies don't typically do very well in the box office, and that's a shame because there is passion in every frame of every project that Charlie makes. He is another director and writer that no matter what he works on, I will be following his career, and I just love his work quite a bit. Up next is another filmmaker with a very small body of work, but that is the filmmaker Barry Jenkins, who has only, I think, 3, maybe 4 feature films. He worked on the television series The Underground Railroad, but the 2 films that he has made that I've really attached myself to are the films Moonlight and If Beale Street Could Talk, which are 2 of the most beautiful human stories I've seen. Obviously, Moonlight, looking at the experience of a gay man in a very hyper-masculine African-American society. It's told through 3 stages of our lead character's life, and I feel like the way that movie is paced, shot, and structured is absolutely incredible. All of the performances in it are amazing. The way Barry Jenkins uses specific color palettes to convey a mood in his films is just really impressive. And then after Moonlight was done and I saw it, I was so impressed with it. Was really excited to see If Beale Street Could Talk, which is a movie about a couple who the man is wrongfully accused of a crime and put in jail, and we kind of see what led up to that, the experiences of their relationship. This is taking place during the civil rights movement. Beale Street Could Talk is just absolutely incredible in the way that it depicts that relationship. The color palettes that are used throughout that film are absolutely incredible. There's like this warm, sort of comforting feel throughout the entire movie, and it's just incredibly impressive what Barry Jenkins was able to pull off with this one. The scores in both of his films are absolutely amazing. His movies are just so enthralling and beautiful, and I honestly always look forward to revisiting his films. I think that they're all so well put together. He is an incredibly talented mind, and I'm looking forward to whatever he works on next. Up next is the filmmaker Yorgos Lanthimos, who in my opinion has a flawless filmography. I've seen every movie he's made except for his earliest film, Canetta, which I know is not generally as loved by people compared to his other works. I think starting from Dogtooth all the way to The Favorite, that his filmography is flawless. The way that he depicts these really strange, subversive, weird, psychological themes in his movies with deadpan dialogue delivery, great performances, really uncomfortable atmosphere. His movies get very violent in moments, and I think that that keeps you on the edge of your seat because you're constantly thinking that there's some sort of threat looming. And I think to have a director who can kind of look at the world and the experiences of the world and say, hey, I'm going to make these really weird, abstract movies about the human experience and about things that everyone goes through, and do it in a way that is so strange and subversive and surreal. It is incredibly impressive, and he just consistently is one of my favorite directors because of the risks that he's willing to take and the quality of the films that he makes. Obviously, Olivia Colman won Best Actress for her performance in The Favorite. I'm glad to see that his movies are getting very large amounts of recognition. He has the film Poor Things that is supposed to debut later this year that I am very much looking forward to. But Yorgos is just one of the most exciting filmmakers in the industry. He's one I continue to look forward to watching any of his movies, and I can't wait to watch more from him in the future. So the last filmmaker I want to talk about today, I'll do a part 2 on this sometime in the future, is going to be the filmmaker Robert Eggers. And obviously Robert Eggers is a newer filmmaker. He's only made 3 movies, but he's made enough of an impact to where I have The Witch tattooed on my arm, and I also have The Lighthouse tattooed on my arm as well. I love Robert Eggers' work. I feel like Robert Eggers is like a modern day Ingmar Bergman, with just how incredible his cinematography is, with how incredible his performances are. His knack for an attention to detail is just unlike any other filmmaker I've ever seen. Truly just remarkable what he gets out of his performers. I remember watching The Witch and seeing those child actors and the way that they deliver dialogue and just how spot on it is and how incredible it is. Seeing the commitment to the performances, the cinematography in his films, The Lighthouse especially, is just mesmerizing, and what he was able to pull off, the type of camera equipment that he uses. And I love how he's kind of stuck in his first 2 films in the horror genre, and then The Northman is much more of like an action thriller type of movie. But stylistically, he has created this very unique visual presentation that when you're watching an Eggers movie, you know it's an Eggers movie. And he always picks incredibly talented people to score his films, which is something that I know is difficult to do. But he is one of the most exciting filmmakers working today. I thought The Northman was brilliant. I know it wasn't as well perceived as his first 2 films, but he is another filmmaker that I will follow until the end of his career. He just finished shooting his rendition of Nosferatu, which I'm very, very excited about. And yeah, he's just truly one of the most exciting filmmakers working in the industry, and I cannot wait to see more films from him in the future. Would you like to see a part 2 of this video? I'm planning on making it because I have a lot more directors I want to talk about. But let me know who some of your favorite directors are in the comments. I'd love to read what filmmakers you love. What's your reason for loving them? I always love reading those comments. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.